Welcome to Meren of Clan Nel Toth. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, I love it. We're going to keep on this one. We've got 3 lands. We've got Cultivate. We have some protection for Meren. And we're playing against the Gitrog monster, so we've got ourselves a little bit of a Golgari, whatever you want to throw down in the swamp, whatever you want to call it. I'm excited. I always like it whenever the commanders line up like that. So, and also, this is the very first game that we're playing with Meren, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, so we draw into Blooming Marsh. Let's go and lead off with Foul Orchard. That way it's just going to come into play tapped. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Meren. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. Then at the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. And also, I just put Field of Dead in my Gitrog deck. So might be seeing, depending on when this video gets released, you might be seeing some Gitrog with some Field of the Dead. I don't know. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Let's go for Blooming Marsh. That's going to come into play untapped. Let's go for Lightning Greaves. We'll get that down. And then next turn, we'll be able to go for Cultivate, which will kind of help us get a little bit ahead on mana. And then pass it back over to our opponent. So we're playing against the Gitrog monster himself, Mr. Hypnotoad. Death Touch, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog monster unless you sacrifice a land. Then you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Then whenever one or more lands are put into the graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. And if my voice sounds a little bit oh yes, this is some good Gitrog right here. All right, so we're gonna be able to play an extra land and cash in an extra card. Yes, that is this is my kind of magic right here. Let's go. So we draw the Nurturing Peatland and the Demotic Tutor. I think at this point, if we can play an an additional land, I think I kind of like going for Meren at this point right now. I feel a little bit better about that. So let's go for Nurturing Peatland. Let's have Catacombs come down. Let's go and crack Catacombs. And we're going to grab ourselves a Bayou. And yeah, we just want to get Meren on the battlefield. That's going to be pretty crucial to what we need to get going. So let's have Bayou enter the battlefield. Let's go for Meren. And also, we can get in for some really nice Golgari damage, which will be pretty good. Tap down Nurturing Peatland. Let's look at there we go. Get the stack in the middle. That always bothers me if it's up at the top for some reason. Let's go Lightning Greaves onto Meren. Let's go and push him for 3. That way we can knock our opponent down to 27. We can be in the lead in the life total race. Knock them down 27 and then pass it back over to our opponent. So we've got some good stuff for next turn. We do have Gurk, Curse Huntsman. I'd like to get down Parallel Lives first before we go for that. But yeah, and also this is a Good Morning Vietnam video. So if my voice is a little bit raspy, I hadn't warmed up yet. I tried to get it warmed up, but I was really excited to record Meren. I just kind of tossed it together. Well, I started working on it last night, and then I kind of fine-tuned into this morning. So I just kind of wanted to jump into recording. We did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to be one of the tokens on Meren, there we go. It's a Meren. Oh, Toxic Deluge. Well, that's okay though. If they're going to burn a toxic on that, we can do a little bit more setting up. But yeah, be sure to check out MTGOTraders if you want to get your Golgari graveyard on. And let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off anything off the website, or search JOLT539 to check out my merch booth. And let's see, Bloodthrone Vampire. That's good. Good thing to have. I'm going to get the experience counters going. So we cash in an extra card draw. Let's have Command Tower come down. And I guess we just go Cultivate, because that's going to be a land on the battlefield. Land goes into our hand. Then we can go something like Buried Alive. If that sounds like it's something we want to end up going for. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go Cultivate. That's getting down Cultivate. That's going to allow us to grab 2 extra lands. At least we'll have a land. Would have thought on one of those I tapped down for green. We're going to go Cultivate, and then I think at this point, yeah, we'll just split this one down the middle. Let's grab a Swamp, and we'll grab a Forest. Let's have the Swamp enter the battlefield, and then Forest is going to go into our hand. Let's make the Forest land drop for the turn. Let's go Wood Elves. And then that way we can get a little bit of extra. And it always feels nice to be able to ramp a Gitrog deck. This pretty good feeling. All right, so we're going to go Wood Elves. Let's grab ourselves Overgrown Tomb. There's nothing for 1, so we'll just have this come into play tapped. And then I'll get Lightning Greaves onto Wood Elves. Not above swinging them for 1 little elf damage. Let's go and push across for 1. Let's knock them down to 22. And then pass the turn to our opponent. Last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon to support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits, or both. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem at all. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate it and much obliged. So There we go. It's officially free time. Let's have some fun. So with Meren, I built Meren, and I kind of built like this kind of mid-rangey style Meren. I wanted to go kind of not, I guess safe. That would be a good way to put it. Wanted to build kind of a safe Meren deck. I didn't really want to go super combo. I don't want to. Spore Frog is in the deck. I don't really enjoy playing against Spore Frog sometimes, but it is in here because it's just one of those cards that just works so well with Meren. It's going to buy us turns to set some stuff up. And so I ran into a few token enablers at the higher converted mana cost, and I was like, well, it'd be kind of, well, actually what it was is I almost just threw this into reverse and made it almost went reverse from mid-range Golgari control to just full-on Squirrel Tribal. And so as I kept looking at the Squirrel Tribal aspect of it, I was like, I don't really think that's going to be that strong. And so it'd be fun. So there are still squirrels in here, which is very nice. But for the most part, what we're ending up doing is we're actually going kind of just Meren mid-range tokens. We've got Parallel Lives. We have a lot of our 3, 4, 5 drops that are going to be able to generate tokens for us. And what we're trying to do is basically just kind of swarm the board. The other thing that we do have is a lot of creatures you control get blank plus and then have trample. So that's kind of one of the ways that we can close this out. Now with Gitrog on the battlefield, we do have an open Demonic Tutor. Might go for some spot removal. I think that kind of sounds like a pretty good plan. And then we run into the Ancient Tomb. We got a ton of mana. Because we could Demonic Tutor for... And then we could ultimate Gurk as soon as we get on the battlefield if we wanted to end up going for doubling season with Demonic Tutor. But that's going to leave Gitrog on the battlefield. That could work out. And we do have a sack outlaw with Bloodthorn Vampire, because that's going to be spot removal. They're going to get it back on the next turn. I think we can survive off of that. Kind of like that. So yeah, let's go for that. That's going to be really hard for our opponent to beat. Let's go Demonic Tutor. And that's the other cool thing, is that we are running doubling season in here that allows us to get double tokens. But at the same time, we have a few different key Planeswalkers that allow us just to kind of, not necessarily combo off, but we can just combo into a very, very good board position for us. So let's grab that doubling season. And this will also be a good way to kind of check to see if our opponent has any sort of artifact or enchantment removal. So let's have Ancient Tomb come down. We're actually kind of okay on life. This is going to be 1, 2, and then there we go. We need to make sure we tap down at least on one green source. There we go. With Foul Orchard, we're going to have doubling season enter the battlefield. We still have an extra land drop to make with Temple of Malady. So we'll have that come into play. Let's go and get the Scry going, the Scurry, the Fever, the Insanity. Mulch. Do we have Mulch? That'll allow us to make a few extra land drops, and it'll dump a few more cards in the graveyard. I think that's actually pretty nice cantrip. We not have a land to make for next turn. And yeah, that'll work. Let's go and put that on top. And then we have 3 mana available. Do we want to go Buried Alive? Let's hold on to Buried Alive, because I just kind of want to see what sort of creature package we might want to end up grabbing with Buried Alive. So let's go for Bloodthorn Vampire. We're going to go for the Lightning Greaves onto Bloodthorn Vampire, because I highly value a sack outlet, and then plus Wood Elf sitting at a 1/1. That's just a... not really going to do anything. We're just going to go and pass the turn. So now we've got some really good setup for next turn. Anything else? We don't really want to swing into those zombies. I'm pretty sure we have Field of the Dead in here. I hope I put it in here. I'll be honest, there's so many new cards that are coming out between, like, Modern Horizons, between the Brawl set. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's almost overwhelming sometimes to kind of keep track of how many different cards have come out, and making sure that you have all the different kind of, like Field of the Dead. This is one of those cards that it slots really well in a Golgari deck like this. Even though there's only 2 colors, you can see we have definitely satisfied that, 7 land total. And it's just kind of one of those, like, oh man, it's hard to keep every single card in mind. So if you're a fan of looking at deck lists, and I put a new video out and you want to check it and be like, hey Joel, this would go good in there, hey, let me know, because there's just, little things like Field of the Dead. I mean, it's just going to make a huge difference. Let's say we have Field of the Dead down right now. We have doubling season. We're just going to take over the game from here on out. So that's kind of a cool thing to do. So... But as far as next turn goes, we're going to go for Gurk, a Cursed Huntsman. That's going to allow us to get that emblem. And then once we get that emblem down, we can just really kind of start playing around with Meren. We can sacrifice Wood Elves. We'll probably end up grabbing, with Buried Alive, is grabbing Viscera Seer, or at least Carrion Feeder, or maybe probably Spore Frog, because what that's going to allow us to do is just kind of buy us time. We can fog out some combat damage, and then that's going to allow us to get those experience counters going. And then we can just kind of keep creating this cycle between the graveyard. We'll probably probably will end up grabbing one of our token producers. I think there's some pretty cool tokens in here. We've got I found the card called Mongrel Pack. It's a 4 mana card. Now it has to die during combat, but when it does die during combat, okay, rich cards expertise. Yeah, that's we can make that work. So we've got some good back and forth. I'm liking where this game's going. But we do have Mongrel Pack, and the cool thing about Mongrel Pack, first of all, the art's awesome, and then second of all, once it dies in combat, we get 4/1/1 Hound token. I think it's Hound tokens, and so that allows us to kind of build up this board state. And that's the cool thing with Meren is that there's just it's going to complete that Golgari cycle of graveyard and battlefield, to where there's not really it's just you're in the graveyard for a little bit and then you come back. So, but we've got a pretty good little board state developed. But thankfully, with this Guruk emblem, we should be able to push past a lot of these zombies. So that'll be a good thing for us. Another thing that we can grab is the I don't know how to say it, but it's the M slime. Whatever it dies, you get 2/2/2s, and then those turn into 1/1s. That's another way that with the sack outlet, we can really generate a lot of tokens. So we're gonna have to push past this Field of the Dead for sure. If we don't have Field of the Dead in here, we do have Wasteland. So we should have Wasteland in here. I've been trying to put that into all of our decks. And so if we can find ourselves a tutor and grab Wasteland and hit that Field of the Dead. Maybe we could have done something a little bit differently with Demonic Tutor. But to be perfectly honest, I really enjoy. I like setting up a Curse Huntsman. That was kind of like, as soon as we saw that in our opening hand, I was like, yeah, let's just get this ultimate down. That's going to be pretty hard to beat. And especially, turning your Bloodthorn Vampire into a 4/4 with Trample, that's a pretty good option. So an opponent's got a man, this is a very fruitful turn from them. You can see we're just making extra land drops and Gitrog or drawing cards is a very good thing. So we're going to go and let this 6 damage come in. We want to hold on to our creatures to get some experience counters. And I think we can steal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We might be able to still get Meren down. We have Mulch on top. And then we'll cash in an extra card draw. Oh, Mana Crypt. That is exactly what we want to see. So let's go ahead and cast Mana Crypt. Let's have Meren. Our opponent's completely tapped out, so we're kind of got free reign to do this. So I think we don't necessarily have to get down Guruk Curse Huntsman right now. So let's go for Meren. That's going to be 1/2. We'll tap down for Golgari. All right, so we're going to have Meren enter the battlefield. Let's get Lightning Greaves immediately onto Meren, and that would put them on that that free black removal spell. All right, so we're good to go on that. Let's have Guruk Curse Huntsman come down. All right, and then the cool thing about this is it's going to be a 10. We can immediately go for this -6. Oh, look at this. This is just beautiful. All right, so we're going to get, that's going to be 4/4, 6/7. We can actually push into this board state if we want to. So at this point, we're going to have 1 experience counter. So we can probably, do we want to sacrifice Wood Elves to start making a few extra land drops? Because we can return that back to our hand. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go ahead and sacrifice Wood Elves. Yeah, because if we want to bring it back, we have to do it at the end of our end step. So let's go and sacrifice. Well, actually, we might as well just go ahead and push in with Wood Elves. So that'll be a good option for us. So let's just go and push in with Wood Elves. We do want to protect this our sack outlet. So do we want to swing in at Nissa just to kind of force some sort of issue from our opponent? They would have to block with all 4 zombies on that. So let's do this. So let's go and swing Meren at Nissa. And if we make this trade, that's a lot of zombies to get rid of. And they have to block all of them on there. Yeah, I think we'll just still go and hold on to it. Let's go Wood Elves, swing in at Nissa, and we'll swing in Bloodthorn Vampire at Nissa. No, let's just go and hold on to her. All right, so we're going to have Wood Elf swinging at Nissa. We could swing it with the entire crew, but the more that I thought about it, Meren's going to be 8 total mana. We've got Buried Alive. We really want to kind of keep Meren around on the battlefield. So, and then their opponent doesn't even block. So there we go. It's going to knock them down to 0. We'll still go and sacrifice Wood Elves. That way we can send it to the graveyard and get that experience counter. At the same time, be able to go for that next turn. So let's get that +2/+2 on the Bloodthorn Vampire. And then anything else? No, I think we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So this point now, we do need to kind of build up a little bit of a token board state. Now, if we're working towards these experience counters, we're definitely going to be able to use this Buried Alive as a way to kind of really hopefully start getting those experience counter going and getting some of our tokens. Now, if we can draw into one of our token enablers, that'll really help us get some good stuff going on our side of the battlefield. Trying to think. So we have Mongrel Pack in here. That's really cool. We do have Liege of the Hollows, which is a pretty cool card. It's a 4 mana, 2 colorless double green. Whenever it dies, any player can play any amount of mana to put that many squirrels onto the battlefield. So right now, let's say I would still probably end up going for that because our opponent can get a lot of squirrels down. But since we have the Guruk emblem, our squirrels are going to be better than our opponent's squirrels. So that's kind of a cool way that we can kind of keep that fun going, getting a lot of those squirrels down. So there's Legion of the Hollows. We do have Seed Guardian. So there's a lot of different cool creatures that die and create a token, or enter the battlefield and create a token. So with Seed Guardian, same converted mana cost, 2 colorless, double green. Whenever it dies, we're going to be able to create an XX token that's equal to the amount of creatures that we control in the graveyard. So right now it's not that good, but typically with Meren, you want to get some really good graveyard action going, and so those tokens can really add up, and especially if you give that token trample. It may not be that good early game, but the fact that you can give it trample through an emblem or one of your spells like Guruk Wildspeaker, that's really going to help make a difference. So that Seed Guardian, we do have Priest of the Bloodright, because there are a lot. Ooh, Mana Reflection. Priest of the Bloodright, that's going to put a 5/5 demon with flying onto the battlefield. And plus, most of the time, you do want to sacrifice Priest of the Bloodright because at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 or 2 life. And so, pretty much, we just want that to come down, get a 5/5 demon, and then keep bringing that back and sacking it with the sack outlet. Let's see what our opponent's got going on. This was that Mana Reflection has generated a pretty good chunk of mana. Hopefully, we don't die, but at least this was a pretty good showing of what we're trying to do with Meren. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that Toxic Deluge really set us back. So let's see what is in store for us. Okay, so reveal the top X cards, put all lands from on the battlefield tapped, shuffle them. If they're 2 or more instant or sorceries, which that's going to be toxic, and definitely have that. Untap those lands. Okay. All right, so let's see what's in store for us. That's going to be 21 lands that are going to be coming onto the battlefield, and they're going to well, luckily that's not too bad. It was just a few Field of the Dead triggers. We do have Damnation in here. We do have Toxic Deluge. Thankfully, with Guruk Curse Huntsman, if we do run into Toxic Deluge, that will allow us to kind of clean up some of these zombies. But you can see how good Field of the Dead is in just a deck like this, especially in 2-color. You think like, and this is why I don't know if they, I don't know, play tested Field of the Dead, because I know they're talking about potentially banning Field of the Dead in Standard because Golo's Field of the Dead. But I mean, it's not that hard to get to 7 different lands. I mean, it's and you don't even have to try to really do it. Sometimes there's just sometimes where you just get down Field of the Dead, and Magic Online is like, here's your free zombie, and you're like, oh. Yes, that is right. I do have 7 different lands. So I mean, that's just how good Field of the Dead is. In fact, I built a mono black deck. I think it's a Yaria. I can't remember how to say her name, but I was almost like, man, we could almost just support a Field of the Dead in mono black. It was a little clunky, not really wanting to do that. But I thought about it for a second. But since she is triple black, but even something like Gonti, just being able to get those extra tokens, and man, it makes a huge difference. All right, so opponent's going to go Acidic Slime. Probably, yeah, Doubling Season is a very good option for that to choose. And it's not the end of the world that we lost Doubling Season. That does, it's not the best thing to get to lose that double token producers. We still have Parallel Lives in the hand, so that's Parallel Doubling Season pretty much gave us exactly what we needed, and that was just getting that ultimate right then and there. Speaking of that, with Doubling Season, especially if this deck turns into like just a stomp fest with all the zombies in our opponent's side, at least kind of explain what we've got going on. So we've got the tokens in here, and then also with Doubling Season, it kind of ties all the Planeswalkers in. So if we're running a Planeswalker in here, it has some sort of ultimate that's going to allow us to not necessarily win the game right then and there, but at least be able to have a very, very nice advantage on board state. So we've got Guruk Cursed Huntsman. That's going to give us that +3/+3.5 trample. We do have Guruk Wildspeaker, which is going to be kind of that stampede effect. We also do have Vraska the Unseen. That's going to give us the assassin tokens that if they lose the game, if they deal damage to our opponent, they're going to lose the game. So you can imagine with Doubling Season or some variation of Parallel Lives on the battlefield, how good that is to get a lot of those tokens on the battlefield. And then other than that, I think that's it as far as Planeswalkers go, because we're not running too many Planeswalkers in here. I didn't want to get super heavy on there. Like I mentioned, I just wanted to have Planeswalkers that as soon as they come down, we can get that ultimate, and they're going to generate a really nice board advantage for us. Not necessarily just close the game out, because if you've never tried to close the game out, there she is. Opponent dumped it in the graveyard. If you can close the game out with that -7, oh, that's one of the best feelings in the world. Feels really good to get that win. So we'll see what else our opponent's got going. This is kind of what I envisioned on our side of the battlefield, but it's on our opponent's side of the battlefield. So, and you can see just how low cost it is to run Field of the Dead in a deck like this, and they just get a bunch of lands down, and there's a lot of zombies coming. So, let's see what our opponent's going to do for the turn. Then I'll jump into commentary here in just a second. All right, so our opponent went for Abrupt Decay on Lightning Greaves, which is definitely, if something ends up happening to Meren, if they have some sort of spot removal, this will probably end up being a good game. We're still going to try our best, but if something happens to Meren, then it's, well, probably would have got it down now. I mean, they've got at least 6 available open mana with Mana Reflection, so probably would have seen something come down. So we do have some outs. If we do run into a board wipe, that would definitely help us out. So let's see what we run into. Let's go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. There we go. Tails, lost the flip. We are 0 for 1 on those Mana Crypt triggers, and we're down to 12, which is, ooh, Deranged Hermit. Okay, that's kind of what we needed. We need a token enabler to fight these zombies. But let's see, can we... Okay, so we can create a couple different wolf tokens, put a loyalty counter on each one. We can cash in a card draw with a -3, which, man, I'm just not... No, we might need to -3 on Multani. That's something that we do need to do. So let's do some stuff this turn. So let's go Parallel Lives. We always want to do stuff during a turn, but let's let me rephrase that. Let's try to survive this turn. That's going to be a better statement. Let's go Parallel Lives. Yeah, I think we need to go for that -3 on Multan. I'd love to get a couple extra wolf tokens, but this is what needs to happen. So we're going to go for the -3 on Multani. There we go. Destroy target creature. Make sure there's no regeneration. They can cast her again if they want to return some lands, but yeah, we're not missing anything. So we're going to go for the -3 Gurk. Cursed Huntsman's going to swing that axe down on her. Ooh, and then Vampiric Tutor. Which, if we can survive, that does allow us to buy a little bit more time for next turn. All right, so we make the land drop for the turn. That's going to be Polluted Delta. We do have Parallel Lives down. 100%, we need to go for Deranged Hermit to get a few extra creatures down. Now, we could mulch into, like, Field of the Dead or something. I still think we need to muddy the board up with some... Because I don't know if we can actually survive next turn. That's going to be the crucial thing. So, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's going to be 10 total mana. -3, that's going to be... We can still Wood Elves and Deranged Hermit and still end up going for Demonic Tutor. We could bring back another creature with Buried Alive, too, because it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think we have enough to do Wood Elves and Deranged Hermit. Well, actually, we might, because that would be... Yeah, I think we can. So let's go Wood Elves. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty on this one. All right, so we're going to have Wood Elves into the battlefield. We're able to grab a forest, because we just... Basically, at this point, we need to have bodies on the battlefield. So let's go Wood Elves. Let's grab that last forest, get into the battlefield untapped. We're going to go for Buried Alive. Yeah, this is getting a little clunky, but we'll see, because we're taking damage off Ancient Tomb, but we're okay at this point. So let's go Buried Alive, and let's get this popped out. So if we can at least get our experience counter up to like 2 or 3. We'd almost need to get it to 5. I'm going to take a second and look and see what's going to give us the best bet. Oh, excuse me. Let's grab Spore Frog. That's definitely we're definitely gonna grab Spore Frog. That's gonna allow us to kind of fog some stuff out. So let's put Spore Frog into the. I was overthinking this. I forget Spore Frog's in here, and I think at this point we'll just keep going for like Deep Forest Hermit, and then what else is gonna help us build up a really nice board state? I think this Slime token. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Yeah, let's go for that. So that's going to be a good little mix. So that's going to... We could go for Tindershoot Dryad, but at this point, we just want to get tokens on the battlefield. So let's dump those into the graveyard. We do have the 1 experience counter, so we actually don't have to sacrifice our board state just yet. So let's go Deranged Hermit, and that's going to be green. We're going to get those 4 squirrel tokens on the battlefield. Yeah, because we're going to be good. That Spore Frog's going to come out. We can bring that. We're going to be able to fog that out. We can actually do that during our upkeep. And then let's get those 4 squirrel tokens down. Yeah, this is... hopefully we don't mess this one up. But squirrels versus zombies. This is what you came for. We've already won. This is beautiful. And make sure we're looking at Meren right. At the beginning of your instep, choose target. equal to or less than the number of experience returned to the battlefield, otherwise put it into your hand. So that is correct for us to start bringing back Spore Frog. So we'll bring back Spore Frog. That will allow us to get those counters going, and I'm pretty sure that's correct. So let's go ahead and bring back. Let's bring back Spore Frog. Don't want to click on anything else because that's going to allow us to fog us out. Yeah, just completely forgot that Spore Frog was a thing. So let's go ahead and I guess at this point, just in case there's a split second or something, let's just go and sacrifice. We're just going to go and sacrifice Spore Frog. Yeah, let's just go and do that. So we're going to get the experience counter, just in case there's the split second something to where we can't go for an activation. I would hate to lose that. So we're going to bid all combat damage would be dealt this turn. All right, so we've got the fog effect. We can let our opponent kind of do their thing, and we can slowly start to build up an army to push past these zombie board states. So we do have the experience counter up to 2. We might start sacrificing some of these squirrel tokens just to kind of get it back up, because once that does end up happening, we can bring back Deep Forest Hermit. We can also bring back the Slime. That's really going to allow us to kind of muddy up this board state. One thing that also that we can't, I can't remember, did I put that in here? I tried not to put a Crater Hoof, or I tried not to put Thunderfoot Baloth in here. I tend to run those in a lot of decks, and at least for this first initial recording, I wanted to kind of showcase the different abilities of, using the Planeswalkers to this aspect. So now with this open Vampiric Tutor, we're going to see exactly what we want to end up grabbing. Thragtusk might be a good option. If we end up grabbing Thragtusk, that's going to allow us to get Beast tokens on the battlefield and allow us to kind of get out from underneath this Mana Crypt. So we might end up going for Thragtusk. So but that's the other thing, with this Meren deck, there's certain cards that you think, hey, this would go great in here. Hey, let me know. This is just this is actually the first game I'm recording with it. This is the first build. Oh, does our opponent have Exsanguinate? That's a lot of black mana right there. Let's see what's in store for us. If they've got it, they've got it. But at least you got to see all the squirrels coming down on our side of the battlefield. And this, if you were to, if you sat down and you saw Meren, oh, Avengers Zendikar, okay. We do have to watch out for the extort trigger, so we'll probably end up going for Thragtusk, because we need to get some life gain going pretty bad. So that's going to be that. We'll let them go through this turn. But yeah, if you sat down before this game for a Golgari game and you sit there and you look and you see it's squirrels versus zombies, this is this is pretty good. So kind of like what's going on. We are dead to Exsanguinate. Torment of Hellfire is going to be a little suspect. I don't know if we can survive a Torment of Hellfire. Probably not. So especially with it being non-land. So we'll see what else our opponent has in store for us. But if we can untap, we can at least get some pretty good stuff. Get a few more creatures going. Because what we can do is we can sacrifice our... Because that's going to be at the beginning of our end step. So we don't get it during our opponent's end step. So... But this is a great showcase of what this deck is trying to do. Get the Gurk emblem down, get the squirrel tokens going, or get any amount of tokens. And when you get down like 8, 1, unless you've just been playing against Field of the Dead since they got it down, got those lands going, most of the time you're going to win the game right on the spot when you've got 8, 5, 5 trample squirrels. And that's the other cool thing is we're getting a nice little tribal bonus from Deranged Hermit. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about the squirrels really quick. Whenever I was tossing Meren together, I got to the Threshold Squirrel stuff, and I was like, man, let's try to make a squirrel deck. And I don't know, if we went full on squirrel, there's just not enough stuff, I think, that protect the squirrels at this point right now. One thing that we can do, I just not thought about this, that would still keep Gitrog on the battlefield, but they don't really have a lot of high powered. Now we are sitting at 8, and I was just, yeah, because it's gonna be I was thinking we could Toxic Deluge. We can still Toxic for 2. We'll see what they get down, but if we Toxic for 2, that'll make it to where we can just swing in and kind of clear it up. So we'll see what ended up happening. We do kind of have this weird line of play to where if we survive, our opponent's got a lot of mana, so we'll kind of see what's going on, but we do have this weird line of play to where we can potentially start sacrificing these wolf tokens and get another Guruk emblem, which would be pretty cool to see. And so, but yeah, but to me, whoever wins this game, we've already had our fun. We've gotten to, it's kind of like a, how do you, it's like a, what is that called? Demolition Derby. We've both just crashed into each other and built a lot of stuff. All right, opponent's going to go Croson Grip on... Yeah, okay, so Croson Grip on Parallel Lives is definitely going to slow this roll just a little bit, but thankfully we got those squirrels on the battlefield when we did have that. So, but if they're just Croson Grip on Parallel Lives, we might be able to just kind of on the Spore Frog game plan. Definitely want to end up going for, if we don't see Exsanguinate, we want to grab that Thragtusk and then sack some of these Squirrel tokens and then slowly start gaining a little bit of life to kind of survive this. So we're going to see Field of Ruin come down. It's going to pop Ancient Tomb. But it feels like we're driving a Golgari clown car if we're just going to keep relying on Spore Frog to get out there. And I don't know, I just love, like, let's grab, since we do have Urborg out there, we'll just grab a Forest. I love the thought of, like, you know, when you're playing Magic and you think about the actual wizard part, like us just getting this little Spore Frog that has this stupid little smile on his face, and you have this just horde of zombies. You got this horde of plant, like dryads, getting ready to swing in, and then we just, like, us as a planeswalker, as a wizard, we just put Spore Frog out there and like kick him, and then he releases some non-combat fog, which is pretty nice. So I don't know, that's what makes Magic kind of fun sometimes. You've got a happy little frog that's a very, very Bob Rossi smile, is very happy to make sure that these zombies don't get too aggressive and swing across. So hopefully we survive. At this point, we're still sitting at 6, so if we run into a Mana Crypt trigger that doesn't really go our way, that's going to be 3 damage. That'll maybe kind of force us. Either way, we're still going to be online for Vampiric Tutor, and so even if we want to sequence it, what we can do, because with Mana Crypt, it's going to be the beginning of our upkeep, we have to flip a coin. So we can kind of see how the flip goes, but more than likely, we'll still need to end up going for Toxic Deluge. If the flip goes our way, we might be able to, because 8, it's going to be 40, 44. We might have enough trample damage to push past on this one. We'd have to go for like 3, Toxic for 3. Oh, goodness. Okay, so we're going to be Perpetual Timepiece. All right. So it's going to shuffle everything back into the graveyard. I mean, back into their library. So let's just hit it's like Uno. They're going to hit the reverse button. I've been yakking for like about 30 minutes now, so I'm gonna let them do this turn, and we'll jump into commentary on my turn. Oh, the other thing that I didn't think about is if our opponent just gets some extort spells going, yeah, they're gonna be able to close it out. So we got hit with a couple different. We got hit with Tectonic Edge, and then they still have Dust Bowl, so they can actually just start sacrificing lands and popping our lands. But if our opponent wants to be cruel and to have some fun, what they could do is they could, if they don't, obviously they've got 8 cards in the hand. They might all be lands, but if they have spells, they can extort us down to 3 and then let us potentially whiff on the Mana Crypt trigger. So, but with them being able to just sack lands out, and they've got more than enough mana banked up, so we are in danger of losing to the extort trigger. So that is something we do want to kind of keep a watch out for. Okay, so we are going to our opponent's instep. They're going to have to discard some stuff. If they do run into an instant spell, we are going to be 3 with a Mana Crypt trigger. I don't know if there's anything that we can do during our upkeep to dodge this Mana Crypt trigger. So either way, I think we might end up going for Vampiric Tutor during our upkeep, because it's going to be 2 life no matter how we swing it. But unless there's sometimes to where if you've got X amount of lands, you can just cycle through stuff. So if they happen to cycle into a spot removal, let's let them kind of do this, because it's weird on Magic Online when they get to the end step with the Gitrog trigger. So let's let them get through these Gitrog triggers first. Okay, so we're going to have the Echo Cost from Deranged Hermit. That's going to be the Mana Crypt trigger on the stack. Let's go ahead and choose tails on this one. If you keep it score at home, pray to the magic gods. We won the flip. All right. So that's going to be Deranged Hermit. Let's just go ahead and sacrifice Deranged Hermit. We're not going to pay that Echo Cost. That's going to give us a little bit of extra trample with Bloodthrone Vampire. It's going to make it a 6/6. Let's go Vampiric Tutor. Man, I don't know what we can do, because that's going to put us down to 1 with Vampiric Tutor. Let's get this popped out. How do we win? I guess if we're going to try to win, we just go Thragtusk, because we've got to gain life. I'd like to use it for a board wipe, but we need some life gain. So we're going to go down to 1. That's going to be the Echo Cost on Deranged Hermit, which we're definitely not going to pay. Well, I guess technically we could. Well, no, it's in the graveyard. We don't want to play that for sure. That's going to be the Echo Cost. No, hey, Deranged Hermit's not even here, Magic Online. And so we're going to draw into a Thragtusk. We're going to cash in an extra card draw with the Rites of Flourishing. We're still going to put us on the Spore Frog game of plan. So let's go Thragtusk. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way we can gain 5 live. and they'll still give us a beast token, and then we'll see what sort of shenanigans we can get into, I guess. Let's have Thragtusk. It's going to put us back up to 5. Put us up to 6, excuse me. Let's go for the 0 ability. We're going to create 2 wolf tokens, and then we'll be able to go for Satyr and go for Mulch. So let's look at the top 4. It's going to allow us to grab a land. At this point, we just kind of want to muddy the board up. That's what we're trying to go for at this point. So it's going to be Satyr. Look at the top 4 cards of our library. We're going to be able to grab a land. Let's grab Wasteland. There's Wasteland. A little late to the party. Let's go and pop that Field of the Dead. My goodness. Wasteland's like, you rang? A little too late there, partner. So that's going to cash them an extra card draw, give them Elemental, but that's okay. All right, so it's going to be Titania, the Gitrog monster. That still puts our opponent in a position to where they need to extort ourselves out of this one. So let's go Mulch. But with only 7 cards in the hand, we might be able to do something with this. So let's go for Mulch. It's going to be green. Okay, let's go Swamp. Let's grab Bloodstained Mire. Let's have Bloodstained Mire, I guess, enter the battle. Well, we've got Herb Orb, so that's okay. And plus, we're not wanting to pay any life. Okay, so we definitely can't swing into that board state. I mean, we could, but I don't think it'd be that good for us. So we are sitting at 3 experience counters. We still need to end up going Spore Frog at this point right now. If we can somehow get a little bit ahead on value, we're going to try, but yeah, let's just go ahead and pass the turn. We'll be able to bring back Spore Frog. Yeah, because even if we get it, yeah, with us being below in the single digits, it's just not, we can't really, I was thinking we go for Slime and start sacrificing, get a few extra tokens, but we've lost both of our enablers, and it's just not going to be good for us. So we're going to have Spore Frog. Let's go for the Spore Frog activation during our opponent's upkeep. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt. That's going to be an extra card draw. And once again, we're sitting at about the 42-minute mark for commentary. So I'm going to let our opponent go through this turn. And if something happens, I'll jump into commentary. All right, our opponent just got down Vorinclex, and just to kind of check back in, meanwhile, back at the ranch, they've got a casual, like 120 mana really quick. If they've got enough spells to extort us out, they're going to be able to close the game out. Because if they keep putting us in this mana crypt, like chokehold that doesn't really kill us, that's going to be Nissa Who Shakes the World. They're going to pay that extort trigger. And let's see if they've got 2 more spells. Either way, it's going to be really hard for us to be able to close this one out. We need some very, very good sequencing on our side of the battlefield, simply because we need to get that life gain going. We need to be able to go for Toxic Deluge, and then with that Toxic Deluge, we need to clear all these zombies out. That's going to be Nature's Lore. That's going to be 1 more extort trigger. And I've even thought about just cracking a Pluto Delta in response to Nature's Lore. Be like, hey, you got this one, Uncle. That would be a very, very Golgari way to close the game out. But let's see if they've got the extra extort trigger, because, you know, you never know what might end up happening. We might be able to close it out. But there we go. Bane of Progress. That is going to seal the deal as long as they click OK on this extort trigger. Good game to our opponent. That is definitely not what I expected to see when we got Gitrog versus Meren. We've got a bunch of zombies and plants versus a bunch of squirrels. But hey, that's Golgari for you right there. And this was the first game that I recorded with Meren. This is the very first build of Meren that I've done. So if you have any suggestions for me, hey, let me know in the comments. I feel like it performed pretty well. We got to get that ultimate going pretty quick with doubling season, which was a very nice feeling. And we got some pretty good tokens on the battlefield. So if our opponent doesn't get down Field of the Dead so quick and get that online, this game might have been different. But hey, that's how Magic goes sometimes. That allowed them to stabilize and get the game. That goes to show you how good that card is. We even had the Spore Frog lock on them. But once you get to 100 mana and you can draw a ton of cards with Gitrog, it's really hard to beat in Extort. So they're going to be able to get on this one. Good game to our opponent. Hopefully they see this video. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.